All right, welcome back to the Thermo podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Christopher Walker, my co-host, J. Rock Miller.
How's it going?
Damn, I should have thought of a different name.
We got a whole list of them right here.
Turkey Miller.
Turkey Miller?
Yeah,
That's
Turkey
fitting.
Miller today. Because we're talking about Thanksgiving. Thermo Thanksgiving. We had this good idea submitted by the one and only Zach Siegel. And it seems appropriate because this is Thanksgiving time. So a lot of people are probably wondering about how to keep their Thanksgiving thermo. And it's actually relatively easy, just like any other type of thermo eating. You end up having better tasting meals and enjoying it more, and it's healthier.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And then maybe even also some tips about like how you can have your family do a thermo Thanksgiving without, we all know like Thanksgiving dinners sometimes for most people can be a very interesting time, especially if you have like extended family at it. You know, a lot of times even the nuclear family, like the core group, can be very interesting, but it gets especially interesting with the peanut gallery when you have like your aunts and uncles and grandmas and whatever.
Yeah.
Because everyone's got an opinion about everything. So this should be fun. You know, we'll talk about all these things, and hopefully we cover some helpful ideas for you guys to keep your Thanksgiving thermo.
So you said that y'all switched over to venison during Thanksgiving, didn't y'all?
Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday about like Thanksgiving, and probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I was just I got to this point, I'm like, I hate turkey. Like, why are we eating turkey? This stuff sucks.
It's kind of like chicken.
And it's not, like, turkey's okay, especially like if you get like a good turkey, but and turkey's still thermo, but it's not like preferable. And I'm just saying in general on the taste, like most people, I think I've had turkey once where I really actually enjoyed eating it, but most of the time when you cook turkey, people just buy a turkey and stick it in the oven and bake it, and it just tastes so dry. There's like no fat or flavor to it whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
It is high in tryptophan, which is not, you don't want to eat a ton of tryptophan. It's just not an enjoyable thing to eat. And I was thinking like, well, this doesn't make any sense to me. A lot of people just stick to traditions blindly and like, we have to do it. It's like, I just brought it up to my family. I'm like, why do we have to eat this turkey? Like, this stuff's nasty. Why don't we just eat something better? And then so my dad hunts deer, and so we were just like, well, let's just start eating venison instead. Wild shot deer tastes so much better.
Oh, yeah.
So now that's what we do. And last year he came out here to Colorado and did an elk hunt and got an elk. So we ate elk and venison. I could feel the elk testosterone surging through my veins after. So yeah, I don't know. It might just be as simple as that for most people. Of like, if you want to keep your Thanksgiving thermo, just basically be like, let's just do this. Like, because it was funny when I brought it up, everyone else was kind of like, yeah, you're right. Turkey does not taste good. Like, why are we eating this?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. What about you? What do you think about family Thanksgiving?
Usually I'll stay relatively thermo till like Thanksgiving dinner, and then just kind of relax and enjoy it with my family and don't really think about it. But I'd say this year, I haven't really told my family about it yet. But
what do they cook that wouldn't be thermo?
So like for instance, they don't use like a really good butter, so it's got a little bit of PUFAs in like the mashed potatoes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or
that's easy enough.
Yeah.
Like, hey mom, buy this butter.
Mm-hmm. Which is easy, and like she actually uses that now.
Yeah.
So that should be good. One is like my mom makes this coconut cream pie. It's just absolutely delicious.
Nice.
And she's made a thermo version of it, so that might be there, and I can go ham on that. But
it sounds like something that could be thermo.
Yeah.
You could make a coconut cream pie.
And then maybe like switching over the rolls to sourdough rolls or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, she makes these sausage balls that are really good too.
Damn, nice.
Yeah. So.
Could also be made Thermo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, all these dishes, basically, if you made them Thermo, they would taste better.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing to point out.
Mm-hmm.
Just be like, hey, can we just get a slightly better quality thing here, or whatever? It'll taste better.
Mm-hmm.
And then there'll be the famous sausage balls.
Yeah.
But it's like, holy shit, how are they so good this year?
So-
Because like for example, I was getting that Wild Pastures delivery meat, and they have this breakfast sausage in there from like free roaming pigs or whatever. That stuff is so good. Like I can't actually get that often because I'll eat the entire thing, and it's like very dense, but it's so good. Like it's hard to explain how much better it is than regular like Jimmy Dean sausage or whatever people buy at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do find some good stuff, it's just like magnitude's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've actually we've killed like a few pigs every once in a while, and we'll have those butchered.
Oh yeah, you're in Texas.
Oh yeah.
You got pigs like 500-pound pigs roaming around.
Yeah. You gotta watch out. They'll get you.
The javelinas.
Yeah. So now javelinas are actually hard to eat because if you don't shoot them in the right spot, then they have these glands that kind of burst.
All that.
Yeah. And it's kind of nasty. But if you can hit them in the right spot, then you can make them taste pretty good. But so what's your favorite Thermo treat for Thanksgiving?
Let's see. Thermo treat. I don't really eat sweets much. I do like good cranberry sauce.
Mm.
Stick that on the venison. Tastes freaking great. A little salt.
Yeah.
Let me think. Oh, carrot ring is something that our sister makes, and tastes really good. But she's making it Thermo now because she's Thermo. So it's basically you like grind up a bunch of carrots. The ingredients are really simple. It's like carrots, brown sugar, butter, and some I think some sort of flour. So you could pick coconut flour or whatever. Ends up tasting money. This stuff's so good.
Really?
You do it in this like bundt cake pan,
Okay.
and then I think Robert, those are the only ingredients, right? The carrot ring, something like that. Yeah, it's super simple, really delicious. Tastes like cake. It's like carrot cake.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good one.
So you were saying that Robert usually eats just a pile of potatoes. Are these like special potatoes?
So Robert, for anyone listening in, Robert is my brother, and he's here in the office too. He works here. But yeah, all he's ever eaten for Thanksgiving since the time he was born is a giant pile of mashed potatoes, or two. So it was easy to get Robert on board for the Thermo Thanksgiving and getting rid of turkey because he never eats it anyway. So
Nice.
yeah, I remember like Robert would be like, 3 years old, and he's just like, I just want mashed potatoes, and just eat this huge pile, like the size of his body weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say would be a strategic method to approach your family members to try and at least introduce the Thermo idea for Thanksgiving to them?
Yeah. There's probably let's do a couple different scenarios because I can think of a few different scenarios that people run into. Right. There's probably the first scenario that's the easiest. If your family is already health conscious
Mm-hmm.
and they're interested in like quality of food and that sort of thing, then it's probably pretty simple. It's probably a matter of like, hey, let's focus this meal on. You could even talk about Thermo and tell them about it, but let's focus this meal on like let's get some good meat. Let's get some good toppings, from like whether it's a good cranberry sauce or good sea salt or something, and that sort of thing. I don't even know like what else would people really stick on stuff. Maybe I'm like a very Spartan eater though. I don't know.
I am too.
But yeah, just focusing on quality of food in that conversation. Like, hey, I've been eating this way and I just feel great. Like, let's try to make some our desserts and our main courses like in this fashion because it's actually going to taste better
Mm-hmm.
and it's better, it's healthier for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably just a pretty easy conversation. At least I would assume so. Because that's almost pretty much what we did in our family. Like everyone's pretty simple eater, into health in some respect.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty easy conversation. And then there's the other scenario where maybe your extended family's coming in town, and then you got like, yeah, your like aunts and uncles, and then your grandparents and in-laws and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
where it might be way different. For that scenario, I would say if you're hosting, it's a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
If you're hosting, basically you can just cook it however you want, and then they have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then if you focus on Thermo stuff, it'll taste good and they'll rave about it, and then you could be like, this is all Thermo.
Yeah.
But if you're going to someone else's house, that's where it gets interesting, because that's probably the biggest challenge I think for most people is like during holidays with nutrition. Like you go to someone else's house, they spend all this time and energy and money like cooking you all these dishes and all this stuff, and then you're sitting there, you're like, I don't want to eat that. That looks nasty. But in that scenario, I would probably stick to the 80-20 rule,
Mhm.
unless you like are into like offending people, because people get very offended about food. Some people don't care.
Yeah. I'd say like you can also bring your own options too, and like provide that as well.
Yeah,
For
I mean,
everybody.
offer to bring a dish. Be like,
Mhm.
hey, yeah, let me cook up my famous whatever.
Yeah. Or, you can just bring some steaks, and then if people have a pile of steaks sitting there versus a turkey, I guarantee you that that pile of steaks is going to be gone
Yeah.
by the time the dinner's over.
Yep. You could also make Thermo meatballs or something, like get some grass-fed beef, do a little just kind of little coconut flour or something, and like make meatballs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fry it up in some butter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How would you say some ways that you could get over like the stigma of people thinking that you're almost judging them for trying to make a healthier option there?
Yeah. So you mean, okay, so let's illustrate a scenario so it's funnier. So
Well, you said like the
So-
dinner that you had a while back, and that vegan guy was like really offended by just the way that you were eating, just because you were around him eating that way.
yeah, in that case, then just like, fuck it. That's your problem, it's not mine.
Yeah.
Right? Especially like if it's a family member, though, it gets a little more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to, unless maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're still like, whatever, man, I'm doing this my way. Another scenario that I'd say would be a little more sensitive, say if your grandma or your aunts or something are like making a dish that it's like been always the dish, and you just don't want to eat it. Maybe even in the 80-20, you're just like, that's not even anywhere near like what I want to do right now, because I know I'm gonna feel bad after I eat it. I'm gonna feel gross. I might pass out because of whatever,
Mhm.
blood sugar issue or whatever. And I just don't want to feel that way, so I'm not gonna eat it. So you have a couple options, I guess. First off, you just don't eat it and deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they ask you like why you're not eating it, just be like, I got pretty full, like eating whatever. You could also, another thing is just stick it on your plate,
Mm-hmm.
and then pile up your plate with all the other stuff you want,
Mm-hmm.
and just eat it last, but be full.
Yeah.
And then, so that's another thing. Most people won't get offended like that. Maybe they will, but if they do get offended, then I just be like, just deal with it,
Mhm.
whatever. 'Cause that's how I think about it. People getting offended about anything. It's their problem. It's not yours.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. Those are actually like some really good strategies. I'd say like if it's a scenario to where you really don't want to step on anybody's toes, then I would just get like a really good lactase enzyme, a really good gluten digesting enzyme, like
Vitamin E.
peptidase 5, vitamin E, maybe a little bit of activated charcoal, and then like take some Sensolin to make sure that your blood sugar stays stabilized. And
Yeah.
I think you'll be golden. I really don't think that it'll have that much effect. So
Yeah, that's another way to think about it.
I was
And-
also thinking like you know, if you brought your own food, say steaks for example, and you go out in the back and grill, like everybody likes to grill and have a good time. You can just sit back there and have a drink and just
Yeah.
kind of relax with everybody, you know. So I think that's a good option, honestly.
Yeah. It's yeah, if you're grilling steaks, like you'll be popular
Yeah.
at the dinner.
Mhm. Yeah. And then like there's plenty of thermal options for drinks now, especially. It's
Mhm.
really easy. Like White Claws, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I'd say White Claws are probably like 80/20.
Yeah.
Um, the mainly based on also just the can.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then
That's
yeah.
what the activated charcoal's for though. Mitigate that.
Ah, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
But
So we got a little damage control supplement solution.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's not a huge deal. It's like most like you can kind of pick your own adventure on this one, on holiday dinners. But a lot of people will see, like especially if you've been Thermo for a while, that if you go and don't eat Thermo, and you eat like a Poofa Rich thing or just something that's just not Thermo, that's you know kind of heavy and everything, you really just don't feel good. So
Mhm.
it you know go for it if you want, but it'll kind of reinforce the idea of like, okay, well, I like feeling good when I eat the right nutrition. Like, it's probably not worth everything, and it might be a good experience just to reinforce like, okay, wow, these foods really don't make me feel great. I wake up in the morning and I feel bloated, and it's like I just really don't want to do this.
Mhm.
But for some people, it might just be like an necessary thing. You just
Mhm.
go through the motions on that one.
So, whenever you go off like that, how long does it usually take you to start feeling normal again? Whenever you have like a Poofa Rich meal or something?
A day, 2
Really?
days. Yeah.
Yeah, it usually takes me a couple days to get back into the groove and like really feeling optimal, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really eat anything anymore with
Yeah,
PUFA stuff.
I usually don't either, but every once in a while, you know, I'll deviate, have me a little chocolate chip cookie every once in a while. Those are my weakness.
All right.
Yeah, just every once if there's a chocolate chip cookie that's fresh baked in front of my face, you know, I gotta have
But we got to
at
make a
least one.
Thermo chocolate chip cookie recipe.
Yeah,
Brenton made these brownies, Thermo brownies, and they were awesome.
yeah, they were really good.
Yeah, he brought them in the office.
Yeah.
He was
Those
chowing
will
down.
those will be available on the marketplace too.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
mix will be on the marketplace. And then this squirrel got into the office and ate them. He ate all the rest of the flour, the brownie mix flour, the damn squirrel.
Oh my gosh.
So we're gonna, we have Francis, the owl. He's our cartoon mascot. We were talking about making a cartoon eventually, like just for fun, and having the squirrel be one of the characters.
Mhm.
Call him Sweets the squirrel, because this squirrel got in here and he ate the banana stuff and he ate the brownie mix, and he was in here for like 2 minutes. And this fatty,
Mhm.
just chowing down. So we were talking about it being like kind of a SpongeBob and Patrick type scenario, where the squirrel is Sweets the squirrel is kind of just like eating stuff all the time. The squirrel was kind of fat too. Like he definitely enjoys his food.
Did you chase them out? Were you the one that chased them out?
Yeah, we saw him. It was just me and Darren were left here. It was like a Friday afternoon, and this squirrel was like, Darren was like, "There's a squirrel in here." We look out of the conference room, and this squirrel like looks at us, and he sees us, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And so we come out the door, and he just like bolts out. Yeah,
Hmm.
but someone had left the door open, and he came in and started eating everything.
Hmm.
Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about.
So, yeah, I'm not really sure. So, wrapping it up, bringing everything together, what are the top 3 tips that we can do to stay thermo for Thanksgiving? And then the supplements that we can take in order to mitigate any damage that's done over Thanksgiving.
Okay, so top three things you can do. First off, figure out a way to make your family choose thermo option foods, which, just being straight up, like every single thing on a normal Thanksgiving menu could be turned thermo,
Hmm.
that I know of. But Wait, is there anything like what else do you have at a family thing?
I don't know. So
We could like talk about a couple options of
yeah.
just like
So
dishes that people have.
whenever I think of it, my deviled eggs are a really good one.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mashed potatoes is good. Baked potatoes. Steak or turkey is really easy to make thermo, especially if you smoke the turkey. Oh man, smoked turkey is pretty good.
Is
I
it?
like smoked turkey. Yeah, the baked turkey is but or switching it over to steak. We usually have sausage balls, which are really easy to make thermo. You can get a good cheese, a good pork, and then
Brenton just brought up the big one we're missing: sweet potatoes. So a lot of people do like sweet potato dishes.
Yeah, look with the marshmallows on top too. That's easy to make thermo.
Yeah, you can easily make sweet potato dishes thermo. It's a matter of just like, or yams or whatever people call them. I think they're all kind of the same thing, but they're slightly different. Yeah, sweet potato, like baked sweet potatoes with butter, little brown sugar or something melted on it, or even better, some good maple syrup on the sweet potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
You could do a sweet potato casserole pretty easily using just those ingredients: maple syrup, butter, and sweet potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll taste so good compared to like a lot of people. I know they just like add unnecessary stuff to these things. So if you were to just focus on like simplifying the dish, it'll taste better and won't have like all these other things in it. Like my sister made for years this apple crisp stuff, and it's really just like baked apples and butter, sugar, and she would use oats. And I was like, let's just stop using the oats, and then find another way to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty easy. Baked apples is a great dish too, like a dessert. You can make like apple pie type thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then like for breakfast, you can make some thermo pancakes.
Yeah.
That's always a good go-to.
Or eggs.
Yeah.
I like eggs for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Eggs and fruit.
Honestly, like if you use the masa harina flour and like just use that as a base and then put your like some fried eggs on top of that, it is really good. It's really good. It's because like you kind of have that cornbread taste, and then you have the eggs on top with the yolk.
Cornbread's
salt and pepper.
another one.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people make cornbread for holiday meals.
Mm-hmm.
But you can make it with masa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That'd be really good.
So anyway, top three. Sorry.
Yeah.
Diverged. But I think the sweet potatoes was a big one, and squash. I mean, these are all easy to make. They're inherently thermo. Just don't add non-thermo stuff to it.
Mm-hmm.
Apples, fruit, sort of reductions, all that.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, number one, like, just focus on simplicity, focus on quality, focus on thermo options.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think number two is?
I'd say be bold. Don't be afraid to step on people's toes and just, talk to them. People like to be talked to.
Yeah.
Just talk to them and be like, hey, I feel amazing eating this way. I'd really enjoy it if you ate this way too, because you'd feel amazing too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people that are listening to this podcast, like especially people in the group, have had awesome results and transformations, and pretty impressive improvements in their health since going thermo.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, bring it up. Like, hey, I'm feeling great.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have this problem, now it's gone. I used to have this, now it's gone. And maybe someone in your family is like, oh, I'm dealing with that same thing. Let me try this.
Yeah. Now, I every time I talk about the benefits that I've experienced with thermo, people are all like, whoa. And then next thing I know, I turn around and they're like trying out some of the stuff that I'm doing, especially like my roommates. I got like a lot of my roommates eating carrots now and switching over their eggs, and I'm slowly growing on them. Slowly.
Yeah, maybe that's a good point. Just bring up like how good you're feeling, how the benefits, like what specific benefits you have, what specific things have improved, and that's a pretty easy way to bridge that gap and talk about it, because I guarantee you other people in your family have similar issues.
Mm-hmm. And then like you start talking about the food, like I can eat steak every day, I eat beef, potatoes, fruit.
Mm-hmm.
then they'll be like, man, that really doesn't sound that bad.
You know what I'm thinking about right now? Like I want to do for this Thanksgiving is go get some good sourdough, then make a little liver pate
Ooh.
with some good, preserves or jam, which we can get all this at the farmer's market here.
Hmm.
So I might just go load up at the farmer's market and grab that stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be good for like kind of cocktail hour. Like,
Yeah. Or go up to Breadworks.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they sell Breadworks goes to the farmer's market too.
Mhm.
So yeah, either one.
Yeah.
Block that way, block that way.
Hmm.
But that'd be good. Good little like hors d'oeuvre.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That'd be a good project for somebody too over like the Thanksgiving break, is to try and make some sourdough, with their family.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yep.
Hmm. But yeah, so that was number 2. Number 3.
Number 3 being the tricks of, if you have an uncomfortable scenario where there's like a traditional recipe that someone really takes a lot of pride in, but it's like definitely not Thermo, just pop it on the plate, load up on other Thermo stuff, and then just eat it all first, and then say you're full.
Yeah. And then as far as supplement goes, a good activated charcoal is always good. That's actually really good for the liver too. If you're going to be drinking, we have Prevent and Restore. That's extremely good for the liver.
Yeah.
It's full of different B vitamins and minerals that are going to be flushed out whenever you're drinking, so that's really good. A good vitamin E supplement to mitigate like PUFA oxidation that's going to happen whenever you're eating polyunsaturated fats. And then, if you don't tolerate dairy that well or gluten, then getting like a good gluten digesting enzyme and a good lactase enzyme, it's going to be good options.
And then for blood sugar, Sensolin is great to take if you took like 3 Sensolin before the meal, half an hour, 20 minutes before the meal. You'll not only get full quicker.
Yeah, you get way quicker.
Yeah, it's crazy how it regulates appetite. But the blood sugar swings don't happen, and which I know like a lot of people just on holiday meals, they end up just like going for it and just binging out, like eat a shitload of food. This might help at the very least regulate the blood sugar consequences of that. But Sensolin will also help your appetite. You'll just feel full. I mean, it's not, don't have a scarcity mentality about the food. Like it's still going to be there probably for weeks afterward. Obviously everyone makes so much food for these holidays. The leftovers will be around. You don't have to go and like eat 10,000 calories.
Eat yourself into a coma.
Yeah. Which I know a lot of people do. Like I remember being a kid and it was just like this eating competition.
Yeah, it was a competition. Yeah. Me and my cousin, we always do that. We're all, I'll look over at his plate and be like, just pile a little bit more on.
Yeah. But which I used to enjoy, but I just don't really anymore. Like I don't care. I don't like feeling nasty after the meal.
I don't like being miserable because like it sticks around. But
it's for like 15 minutes of gorging and then you're just tired and brain fog and
can't hardly move the rest of the day.
You're laying on the couch all day.
Yeah, I feel like kind of like a potbelly pig whenever I do that. Like I'm so big I can barely walk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it feels gross. That's actually become one of my least favorite feelings in general. It's just overeating. I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's it's miserable. But Sensolin also helps with your digestion too. The berberine HCl is really good for digestion.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a good seg into the fact that Floricil is back in stock. So we have Floricil, and you can check out this sexy new label we got. So we're updating the branding on it, on everything as we transitioned away from Truth Nutra toward Umzu as our brand. We've been updating the labels over the last year, and now Floricil is officially updated. If you're watching this on video, you can see it. It looks really great. Floricil is our extra strength probiotic, living probiotic. It's got 50 billion CFUs of 8 specific strains that are extremely helpful. And a lot of people, when they make a probiotic, they just like white label it. This is a completely custom formula that we formulated for specific reasons, one of which is including hormonal balance, which is kind of a under the radar thing with probiotics in general. is that people don't realize the important interplay between your gut and your brain, and the fact that your brain is ultimately what's regulating your hormones through your hypothalamic pituitary axis. And when your gut's off, when your gut bacteria are unhealthy, the effects are amplified through the hormones.
Yeah. And so my favorite strain of probiotic in Florisil 50 is actually the Lactobacillus reuteri. And so what that does is it actually is a probiotic that produces an antimicrobial. So it's kind of like a weapon that it uses against the bad bacteria in the gut. And so this reuteri basically destroys the bad bacteria, has an affinity for it, and destroys it, and actually allows the good bacteria to flourish more evenly.
Yeah, and that's why when you hear it, like it's kind of an interesting thing, because none of us will ever really physically see all the bacteria inside of our gut, because you just can't see it. But it really is kind of this battle between the good and the bad bacteria, if you really want to simplify how this works. And there are compounds like that in certain strains, like in L. reuteri, like you mentioned, that actively fight against the negative bacteria in the body. So you want to have a good ratio of the positive, protective, helpful bacteria versus the harmful bacteria in the body. And Florisil is just an awesome way to easily get that. And beyond that, it obviously improves your digestion also. It takes down bloating quite a bit. And one thing people notice, this is how you can tell it's really working on your system, is like the first 2 weeks that people take Florisil, if you haven't taken a probiotic, or if you've taken like a kind of a bad store-bought probiotic that's been dead, essentially, that the first couple weeks of taking Florisil, your stomach might be a little bit upset. It's the Florisil strains are waging war on the other strains, essentially. So you might have a bit more of you might be going to the bathroom more often for that first couple weeks. And I've heard this countless times over the last few years as we've had Florisil, of people in their testimonials saying this. First couple weeks, it's a bit of a war in the gut. Once you go through that, the good bacteria have kind of taken over and purged out all that nastiness. And you start feeling awesome, and the energy goes up, brain fog goes away, hormones, it helps support hormonal balance, and your digestion in general is just better. And if you really want to do a 1-2 punch, add the ACV prebiotics that we have too, because those prebiotic fibers are going to feed the healthy bacteria and help them to thrive and help to kind of starve out the bad bacteria.
Yeah, my favorite strategy is using Zupu to kind of clean it out, and then use Florisil to replace it, and then ACV to kind of feed the good bacteria in there.
Yeah, the Zupu. So that's a funny update. So we, the supplement formerly known as Digestive Refresh, that was the original name of it. We're now rebranding it to Zupu for like Zupu. And I think it's kind of a funny name, because that's really what it does. It actually just gets to work within the first 24 hours, and it cleans you out, especially if you go for like a full cycle of there's 15 days worth in there. Most people don't make it that long. You don't really need to. I mean, there's a point where you're cleaned out and you know it. But if you have a lot of excess waste in your system, which the researchers have found that people have average between 5 and 20 pounds of fecal matter stuck in the intestines, the average person, which is insane. Like, if you think about that, it's nasty. And there's actually been reports of, I found a report about a 40-pound colon that was removed from someone, and they have a picture of it and everything, and it's disgusting.
Oh my god!
40 pounds of poop.
And you wonder why your farts smell so bad.
Yeah, you get those rank farts.
Just sitting in there rotten.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So it is healthy to clean it out every now and then. Do a cycle of Zupu.
Especially if you're eating vegetables, too.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Those nasty vegetables.
Yeah. They're just going to sit in there and ferment.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
So, okay, cool. So hopefully this episode helped you guys out with some tips, couple ideas for navigating your Thanksgiving dinner. And I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. Subscribe to our podcast. We got it in several different locations now, all over the internet. We got Spotify, we got Google Play or Google Podcasts, whatever they call it now, Apple Podcasts. What else?
Thermodiet.com.
Thermodiet.com, of course.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the Thermodiet course yet, too, you probably want to go check it out. There's a lot of awesome information in it. If you're not in the Thermodiet group, go join the Thermodiet group as well. Get the course, get Thermo Chef, all the recipes that you could need. You could also get some good holiday recipe ideas out of Thermo Chef.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's all over at thermodiet.com.
Yeah. And then if there's anything that you're ever questioning about, people love answering questions in the Facebook group. I had somebody message me last night, and they're forming study groups in there now, trying to dive deeper into certain subjects.
It's great.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. So if you're not in the Facebook group yet, definitely get in there. Also, that's going to be where we take podcast ideas. So if you're listening to this right now and you have a specific question you want us to answer on the podcast, just join the Facebook group and drop a comment in there or a post and say like, hey, for the podcast, can you guys talk about this?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll read that. And we're always looking for better ideas to help serve you guys with the best information possible about Thermo. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.